Hello and welcome to another episode of WolfeSound podcast. Today's topic is the manufactured world of narcissists. First, the most important thing in the world is narcissistic supply. There was no negotiation with him. How dare you think you'd be anything more than a sounding board, a punching bag, and a beautifying mirror for his reflection? This is pretty much the thought process of a man in this example in his mind when it comes to his partner. We are nothing but sounding boards, punching bags, and a beautifying mirror. They need praise. All narcissistic relationships are a means of getting narcissistic supply. Whether they want your attention, money, body, resources, or social status, it is all about what they can get and for how long they can get it without having to reciprocate. Narcissists will only do favors when it's in their best interest and will make seemingly faithful friends to those in high places to solidify their place with them for personal gain. This is the main reason it can take a long time before someone believes your horror stories about him or her, because they have the most powerful skill when it comes to manipulating others, and they already have powerful people in their pocket. Flying monkeys. The flying monkeys are people the narcissist uses to build an army of abuse, so to speak. And these are the ones who are either loyal to the narcissist already or unsuspecting people who have no idea they're being used. They help the narcissist abuse you by proxy, and they also help with the smear campaign the narcissist will launch against you someday. So never trust any of the narcissist flying monkeys, because you won't know who's reporting back to your abuser and who's pretending to be your friend to get information. This is, of course, it's not restricted to romantic relationships. It can be in workplaces, friendships, family, it can be anywhere. So even when I use examples that sounds like a romantic relationship, just apply to everything else, because it's as if they have a manual they all follow. Into the fog, you get into the fog, and fog is basically an acronym for fear, obligation, and guilt. Narcissists of every type create a mind fog by instilling fear, drowning you in obligations, and endless guilt trips. They cause much confusion and keep you too exhausted to understand what they're doing to you. So no matter how openly hostile a narcissist really is, you will still have a hard time winning an argument or be able to hold them accountable for anything. Evidence doesn't mean anything to them. And that's not to say that you can never win with a narcissist. I will definitely extensively cover that, because there's a million ways to do that without even going to war or anything too toxic or negative. Now, here are some ways they create fog: fear, obligation, and guilt. The death stare, done deliberately to scare you, and usually comes out of nowhere. So you're not sure what you did wrong, and you just stop doing whatever you were doing. They will rush you to do them an urgent favor, will speak really fast to create anxiety in you, and don't give you space to think, much less say no. Their lack of preparation becomes your emergency. If you do manage to say no, the guilt will be laid on you thick, whether it's by stonewalling you, giving you the silent treatment, excluding you from something important to you, or simply failing to do anything that you were relying on them for. They use severe punishments that rarely fit the crime, which is not a crime to begin with. Maybe you declined to get physical too soon, couldn't help them with something or anything minor, and they will make sure to let you think you can rely on them for a serious emergency, and they bail on you on the last second. This includes, by the way, serious health hazards. Narcissists are known to drive someone completely out of their wits to the point of pushing them to suicide. And when the victim does actually attempt it, the narcissist leaves the premises knowing there's a high chance the victim would die. So they don't call for help. They actually leave deliberately, hoping that you don't make it. Now, what we can learn from narcissists, though, because in everyone there's a teacher. When you extract the lessons from the worst among us, then it wasn't a total waste of your time. They teach us to love ourselves. When someone pushes you away from what, like, they teach us to love ourselves. So when someone pushes you away, they actually push you back towards yourself, your heart space, and towards your own vortex, where you have the opportunity to heal. So no matter how painful it is, and it is tremendously painful, I understand that, but at some point you realize they were forcing you to reconnect with yourself and to have no choice but to heal your old wounds. And once your old wounds are healed, they start to not matter to you anymore. They remind us of who we don't wish to become, and we often find our self-worth at the bottom of abuse. Sometimes it takes this much abuse to realize how important this sense of self-worth really is. They remind us of our own power. They don't gravitate, by the way, towards the weak or someone who's not very significant to them or to the world at large. They're always looking for people who are strong and powerful or popular or smart and successful. And they let us know what makes us great by what exactly by what they try to destroy. So whenever a narcissist is attacking you and accusing you of being mediocre at certain things, know that these are the areas where your strength actually is, and they're envious of that. We learn how ugly selfishness truly is, and we learn to appreciate the good people. Unfortunately, not everybody appreciates good people easily. We all do that sometimes. We have to experience the aftermath of being loyal to the wrong people and dismissing genuinely good people just because in the beginning they're not as exciting as somebody who has no conscience, because they're actually respectful of your boundaries. They might seem boring, even though they're not necessarily boring, but it's just their classy attitude makes them seem boring against the whirlwind of what narcissists usually bring. I'd like to talk about the mirror neurons, the biological empathy. So the human brain has mirror neurons. These neurons reflect the extent one feels an emotion for another. So the neurons are a reflection to our emotions. They replicate your emotions towards someone else and reflect them back to you. So if you feel scorn, hatred, or disdain towards someone, you will feel those towards yourself just the same. If you observe someone else's emotion towards another, you will create the same emotion just as much. Our bodies produce the neurochemical states of mind inside us. It's impossible for a human being to seek to intentionally hurt another without hurting themselves. And we cannot observe something without being impacted by it. And also what we observe, like the observed is impacted by the observer. As mentioned earlier, the observed changes from one observer to another. Like, okay, so if I observe something, I will impact it in a different way than if you observe it, for example, because our perception plays a part. So the observer is also impacted by the observed just the same. A mirror neuron is a neuron that fires in the one who acts and the one who observes the action. The neuron mirrors the behavior that we observe in another, as though the observer is the one acting. So whether the bystander has empathy or not, it's inevitable that they get impacted one way or another, and that's the nature of our connectedness as a collective consciousness. If you witness someone bullying someone else, you will feel it. You will be impacted as well on a biological, neurochemical level, even if you're not aware of it. And whatever we do to other people, we do to ourselves first. The broken mirrors of narcissism, however, a narcissist's eternal hostility can be largely due to them inflicting pain upon others consistently and as a byproduct upon themselves. As I always like to do, that no matter how evil or awful or whatever a set of character traits are, I like to always have an empathy checkpoint. The narcissist is plagued with a perpetual lack of fulfillment. They may experience some happiness, and they're always dependent on external things for validation. Without others' affirmations and applause, they feel non-existent. Their internal world dominated by doom and gloom. They're the third-degree burn victims, suffering arrested development, forever feeling unheard and unacknowledged. It's challenging to empathize with these human hyenas, and I totally understand that, but we can relate to their pain. A personality disorder is not an excuse to cause harm, and no one needs to tolerate it. But empathy can help us set boundaries and collectively put an end to glorifying nasty behaviors. Much like children, they will continue to cause harm when left to their own devices. Narcissists are deeply manipulative, deeply callous in a lot of ways. Even the benign narcissist can get pretty callous, or at least at best indifferent to you and your troubles. So people who still ask, why didn't she leave? Why didn't she just leave? Why didn't he just leave? They're infuriating. And when they're in a part of a jury in a trial, I don't think they're fit to determine anyone's fate. A lot of abuse victims are ridiculed, usually by flying monkeys, who are many, because a lot of people are not aware of the gravity of the abuse. And then the victim is completely isolated and with no support. And the worst part is that they get shamed for it too. So I hope today's episode shed some light on the environment of narcissists and this whole manufactured world that they create. And I will record another one quite soon. So thank you for listening. Thank you if you're still here. Thanks for enjoying the channel. I am JS Wolfe, and I will talk to you very soon. Thank you.